Welcome to WION, sir. Now, the mayor mentioned that there are outside elements involved, and we are hearing similar claims from the university alumni as well, or university professionals as well. What do you make of this claim?
It's a fascinating claim. If proven true, it could change part of the analysis of what's going on here. Other information will also come out sooner or later regarding the nature and the origins of protests at other campuses across the U.S. Columbia is by no means the only one. In addition, as social media is examined, there may be yet more information that comes out about whether and to what extent outside agitators were involved with this at Columbia and elsewhere, I'm making this point without dismissing the legitimate concerns of the students regarding what's been going on in Gaza in terms of deaths and the humanitarian crisis there. One thing I want to briefly add, though, when we're talking about what might be going on behind the scenes regarding student agitators, is that it's important to understand that probably the most important job that an American university president has for a private university such as Columbia or Harvard or Yale, as well as many public universities, is to raise funds. Not intellectual or academic leadership, although that's a part of the job, but it's to raise money to keep these institutions going. And the actions by the president of Columbia and perhaps presidents acting in other universities may be driven at least partly by pressure from wealthy alumni and other donors who are very concerned about the takeovers on campus, or at least the encampments on campuses, and especially about what's going on at this administration building at Columbia.
Mr. Goab, you mentioned other universities as well. What are the chances that this kind of an unrest can spread to other universities? Because we did see something similar happen earlier when nearly 100 arrests were made in Columbia, and then we saw a major uprising in several other universities as well with similar protests. Do you feel something like that can be repeated after this?
Yeah, that's a good question. And to tell you the truth, I think it can go both ways at this point. It could be that students or perhaps some outside forces in other universities will be inspired or have taken example from what's going on at Columbia. Or, on the other hand, that things may begin to die down as they have begun to at some universities. I'm an alumnus of Brown University, another Ivy League school, which happens to have reached an accommodation with its students to discuss divestment down the line in the months to come, and which has in turn contributed to a diminution of the student protests there. And there are a few other developments going on in other campuses towards peacefully resolving this and the students stepping back from the encampments and other protests. But we'll just have to see which way it could go. And it could be that in some campuses it will go in one direction, more agitation and takeovers. In others, that it will go in another towards peaceful resolution fairly quickly.
Mr. Goab, I just want to take a little political analysis from you as well. With elections around the corner, what kind of pressure would this be putting on the Biden administration, as Blinken is still struggling to get Israel to agree to the ceasefire while Israel remains adamant on a Rafah offensive?
I'm smiling because I was afraid you were going to ask that question. It puts a lot of pressure on the Biden administration. This drives real divisions within the Democratic Party between those who are, to oversimplify, pro-Israel or pro-Palestine or falling somewhere in the middle. On top of it, Biden is dealing with a really recalcitrant prime minister in Israel, Benjamin Netanyahu, who, as your lead-in indicated, most Israelis want to see out of office, very legitimately so. He's the worst prime minister in the country's history. So these demonstrations inflame passions on both sides of the issue even more than what was going on before they took place, by making it so salient and so prominent in U.S. news coverage. That is not just the war itself, but the takeovers or the encampments on U.S. campuses. So it really presents a very difficult political challenge and a policy challenge for the Biden administration regarding the Middle East and in the November election.
All right. Of course, things are hopefully settling down, and those are the reports that are coming in from New York at the moment, and here's hoping that things do settle down going further as well. Thank you so much for joining in. That was Stephen Goab joining us from California.